Hello, Angela Wolf here. I was counting down, grabbing tea. So, how are you? Happy New Year. Brother Brand Ambassador Angela Wolf here, and I've got a really fun episode for you. First off, Happy New Year. I can't believe it's 2023. It seems like just yesterday we did this last year. But what happens always in January? Well, I don't know. This year started out with the alarm not working. Well, that would be today, right? Today's officially like the first working day. Maybe I slept through the alarm. I don't know, but it didn't wake me up. Then the car wouldn't start, but I made it here and I forgot my cameras at home. So it's a great start to a new year. So I walked in my studio for the first time in a week, and I don't know which Santa's elves got in here and decided to make a hot mess. I'm looking around, I don't know which corner to start in. I'm going to let you see the nice side. So I picked up these fabulous wicker baskets. I've got 3 of them, 3 sizes, because I thought I would put UFO projects that take a lot of space in the big one, then immediate projects in the smaller one, which you can see over here. That's this one right here that we're going to work on. And then I have a medium size. So I will just have them for fabric, for projects, for UFO projects, all sewing, of course. But here's the big question. This stuff is kind of, what do you say, rough? Rough to the skin, rough to fabric. So if I throw a piece of silk in here, it could have some damage on it. So what do you think? I have some muslin fabric. You can get that super cheap or go to your stash. Maybe you have some extra cotton fabric or fabrics that left over from a project. You could piece them together. So I'm going to make little inserts of fabric to protect my fabric that's going in there. These baskets are a little different though. They have the handles on them. So I had to get a little creative on the pattern because I want to make sure I can keep those handles. I don't need to cover those, right? Just the rest of the basket. So I'll show you how to make a pattern for this. And I would love to know your organizing tips. Boy, I went back to some of the old brother shows. There, we had so much fun sometimes the first of the year. We'd have like 10 of us on there giving our organizing tips. So if you missed any of those, be sure to go back to the Brother Sewing and Crafting YouTube page. It's the easiest place to find them. So I see you all rolling in. Hello, hello, hello. So a lot going on this month, a lot going on. And for those of you, I see a lot of the Wolfpack fans in here. I have a newsletter going out tomorrow, packed with information. So if you are not signed up for the newsletter, you can hop over to angelawolf.com. Even some brother information in there too. Speaking of brother, since that's where we are, before I get rolling on this pattern, a couple questions for you. Did you download your Art Spirit app? If you did not, be sure to do it. It should be a New Year's resolution. First of all, do you have a machine that it will talk to? It has to have Wi-Fi. And if I remember, right before New Year's, I saw a lot of your posts that some of you, Santa brought you new machines. Santa maybe brought you 1 or 2 machines. So download your Art Spirit app. It's free. It's spelled ARTSPIRA. You can design things in there, send them to your machine. Oh my gosh, we had so much fun. So there are free tutorials and free designs in there. I followed the one where you could see you could write your name all over the Christmas stocking. And that was the biggest, I don't know, I'm sure my mom got other big prizes, but that was the biggest enjoyment. And now I have to take it back and add Jackson to it. And there's room. All I have to do, I'll write his name for him since he's like 2 months old. All right, so the Art Spirit app, and don't forget if you're sharing what you've made on there, use hashtag Brother Sews because they love to see what you're working on too. Okay, another brother news I just noticed. Rumor has it, the new Airflow 3000 serger is shipping. So how do I know that? Because there's an awesome, we called it the master class, but I think I would call it more the Surging Club is open. So it's in the box. So if you got your serger, don't throw all the papers away. It's in the box, free access to this. We called it the Serger Master Class, but it's really going to be your 14-week Surging Club. You log in, every single week a new episode will open, but it wasn't just me. It was brother educators, 2 fabulous, Kathy Gandy and Kathy Stipe. We taped this last June. I had to keep my mouth shut because we had so much fun. June or July, I don't remember. But 14 episodes. So not only do we show you how to unbox your machine, get going, learn to serge. We walk you through how to do all the different stitches. There's a lot, along with some great projects, free patterns, but each week a new episode will open for you. So why did we do it that way? Well, because if we give you everything up front, it could be a little bit overbearing. There's a lot of projects and a lot of things. If you go from step one to the next one each week, we're your serging club. We're teaching you how to use your serger and come up with great projects. So it gives you a whole week to do all those projects before you go to the next lesson. Sound good? All right, it's in the box. If you have any problems logging in, be sure to let me know. But the class is officially open because I've seen students already rolling in. So let's see, do I have any more brother news? Those are the two biggest. Those are the two biggest. All right, so let's roll over and make a pattern for this basket. So do you have baskets like this that if you put fabric in or they're kind of rough and you're worried? You can follow along with this for any size basket, as long as it has a circle. And I'm going to give you a little bit of a higher end way to finish to make sure we can get those handles through. All right, so I see you all here. You can hear me, which is fantastic. I know that my text messages would be going off if you couldn't. And I'll try to keep my hair away from the mic so I don't keep smacking you. All right, so let's get over here to pop over here to the basket. Now, this is the smallest of the baskets because I thought you could see it better. Okay. Here you go. There's the inside. It's a little rough, and we've got these handles. So the first thing you want to do, I'm just using, this is really inexpensive muslin fabric. I use this for my garments. I always have extra pieces laying around, so I went through my stash and found just a few pieces that were wide enough for this, and I'll do it for each basket. I'm going to cover all three of these today, as a matter of fact. Okay, put your basket down in the middle. We just want to cut around the basket to make sure it's wide enough to fit in the middle. I'm leaving myself a good healthy seam allowance. It looks like I'm about 1 inch from the exact bottom, but it's okay if this is a little bit bigger on the inside. Now, speaking of fabric to use for this, I want to be able to take this out and wash it. You never know. Maybe there was a dirty piece of fabric or just to get the dust off. So if that's the case, you want to make sure that you wash and dry your fabric first in case it shrinks. Okay? Now, I'm just cutting around the basket. If you want to make a perfect circle, have at it. For me, this might be a little bit off because I'm trying to watch the camera and cut, but you know how the live shows work. Okay. That's the inside. Oh, that doesn't look too bad. You could use, if you have like a plate or start at the center, fold this in half, fold this in half. If you want to make sure that that's nice and even all the way around, now I'll give it a trim. That looks better. And if you really want to make sure that it's an even circle, grab your measuring tape. And it looks like mine's 6 inches, 6 inches. That was pretty good. See, maybe it was a good thing that I couldn't wake up with my alarm this morning. I needed the extra sleep to do my math problem. All right, so this is the part that will go inside the basket. What about the sides? So for the sides, you want to measure the basket. So here you go. Excuse me. Measure from the top all the way to the bottom. Mine is 13 inches. And then I want to add a seam allowance for the bottom. So let's just say 14 inches there. But I have an idea. So it's 14 inches. Can you remember that and remind me of that in case I forget? I want my fabric, when it's in there, I want to be able to fold over the edge and have it come over the side like this. I just thought that would look nice. And then I'm going to show you how to make a beautiful opening for these handles. So I'm going to make mine 14 inches. Let's see how much we have here. I've got one big long piece of fabric here that will go all the way around this circle. I'm going to trim it to make sure it matches. But for the length, or I should say the height, kind of already measured this. Let's see what we have. I have 14 inches and I'm adding an extra 10 inches. So whatever the height of your basket is, measure that plus 10 inches. That will give me 5 inches up, 5 inches after I fold it over. So 5 inches can fold back here and I can still have this part look nice. Who cares what it looks like on the inside, but I want it to look good right here. All right, so let's kind of measure around. I'm going to give myself a little guide. I'll just use a Sharpie so you can see it. There you go. I need to measure all the way around this because this is how wide my other section is going to be to match this. I could have also just measured around the basket, but in case you cut it off just a little bit, just walk your measuring tape all the way around. 37 and a half. And then I want to add a 1/2 inch seam allowance to each side. So I've got 38 and a half inches is what I need. $38.5 inches. There we go. Right there. Now, if you're using a muslin fabric, it will cut right along the grain lines, which makes it really easy, except you end up with a lot of little pieces like this. All right, so the first thing we want to do is take this piece of fabric, fold it in half, and we're going to sew this first edge from end to end. This would be the end that would run long ways across. So you're not closing the opening, you're leaving an opening. And again, I'm going to use a 1/2 inch seam allowance. Just double check. That looks pretty good. And if I need to gather this a little bit, I can do that. So I'd rather have this be a little bit bigger than too small to fit that circle. Make sense? All right, let's go to the sewing machine. I'm using bright thread so you can see it. Elizabeth, I see your comment there. This will help when you have a new basket for, yes, this will totally help. This will work for any basket that's a circular shape. And, oh, Celeste, I love that idea. Change the inside for seasons. Oh, well, now mine's really boring. Now I might have to dye the fabric. Now, by the way, I know a lot of you are quilters. I'm not a technical quilter, but I love piecing together fabrics, which is why I mentioned. So this is this big long piece here. We're going to fold it in half and sew. But if you have extra scraps, extra strips of fabric, this would be a great place to test that. Okay? I agree. All right, so let's go back to the sewing machine. And keep your comments rolling in. I love reading them. I actually go back each day and read them after the live shows too, in case I missed any. In case you were wondering how I catch up with all of you. All right, let's go here. And I already have this all set up for you. I'm using bright red thread just to make sure you can see what's going on here. All right, I'm going to click on sewing. I'm just using a straight stitch. And I might as well, for all of you that have the Luminaire or a machine that has a laser light, let's go ahead and use it. I've got a 1/2 inch seam allowance. I can see, can you see the little laser? Actually, you probably cannot. Let's bring up the sub. See the whole grid? There's a red line and a white line. I have it, let's see, move this over. I'll make it red. Well, I don't know which way you can see it better. White, red, green. Let's leave it like this. But if you have the laser light, this is a good time to have one laser light on the edge of your fabric and one laser light that you're following, or just one on the edge of your fabric. That's totally fine. Here we go. I can see it right here. I'm just going to use one. Even those of you that have like the Dream Machine, those machines, they have this laser light too. So I'm moving one red all the way to the side. And so I will let that laser light follow the edge of my fabric. Just an easy way to keep a straight line. And I have mine set up for a basting stitch because that's what I was using. So I'm changing it to a stitch length of 2.5 or 3.0, whichever one you want is fine. Don't go too small. All right. So by the way, how many of you did get a new machine for the holidays? Or upgraded your machine? Uh-oh. Hold on, guys. Someone's at the door. Is it Santa? Hi. How are you? Thanks. That was you yesterday. Happy New Year. You too. Okay. You all know it's a live show when the drivers come. Oh, I got a gift. Should I open it live? Maybe not. But I did get a special gift that I just opened from Amy, and I have to show you guys this squirrel. I might have to save it for tomorrow's live show, but it's really, really cute. And by the way, the squirrel's fine. Maxine's doing good. Okay, back to sewing. I know, LOL. That's what you call live shows in the real world. Okay, stitching all the way to the end. Give yourself a little back stitch so it doesn't come undone, your stitches. So there is my stitch. Let's go to the iron and press that. You can press it open or to one side. It's totally your choice. As I'm switching cameras, I can see all of your comments. I see a lot of people. Karina joined the brother world. Karina, high five to you. Bye, Cindy. Have a good lunch. Oh, congrats on your new machine. A lot of you did. Oh, no, Marianne, you broke your needle threader. Oh, if it makes you feel any better, I've done that twice. It was totally my fault, but I was able to fix it by myself. But I would rather have the dealer do it. I had to pull out my magnifying glasses and move that little clip over. So it depends how you broke it. All right, let's go back to sewing. Here you go. Let's go to the pressing board. And while I'm here, we're going to do two different things. Here's the fabric that we just sewed, and I just want to either press the seam allowance opener to one side. For now, I'll just press it to one side. It's not like it's big and bulky or anything. Using my clapper to keep it nice and a nice crease there. There we go. That looks wonderful. So the next thing, actually, I think I'll do it up here. You'll see it a little bit better than that table. I take that back. You'll see it better down there. Okay, down here, I want to give myself just some guide marks. And I'm just going to use a Sharpie. You do not want to use a Sharpie on your nice fabric. I could also, so here's another one for you. If I close this. If this is folded in half, give yourself a little snip at each end. And then fold this in half again and give you a snip here. This is how I would really do it. I know you won't be able to see those snips as well as if I had used a Sharpie. So that Sharpie mark is not, just pretend that's not there. Now I have little snips at each quarter. I'm going to do the same thing on this piece of fabric. So let's start with, here's one end. Let's go to the other end Give it a snip. Then open this up. Here's my snip. Line this up. Here's the other quarter. And here's the other quarter. Pretty easy. All right, now before I attach this bottom circle, I thought it'd be easier for you to see everything while it's flat. So again, once I have this basket, this is going to go inside. You have to imagine that's going to go inside. We have an extra 10 inches, remember? Because I want to fold this over and then fold it over so it looks nicely on the edges. All right, so a couple things. I have these handles here, and they're both on opposite ends. So let me just line this up. I just want to double check my depth here to make sure I don't make the basket too short. No, that should be fine. And it's okay if you have extra fabric in here. You just don't want less fabric. So I'm going to need an opening this wide for my handle. So basically go to your handle, measure, and give yourself an inch on either side so this can slide over nicely. So I've got, my handle is 4 inches. I'm going to cut myself a box at least 5 inches. I could even go 6, but we're going to go 5 inches. So go back to this fabric here. We're going to fold down our fabric because we had an extra 5 inches, right? 2, 3, 4. 1 more inch. And by the way, if you're really trying to double check, wait, did I do this right? Did I fold this down too much? Just grab your basket again, lay this down, put this here and see how much extra room do you have? Plenty. I've got plenty extra room up here to fold over. Now, once I do this, I want to make sure that I put these holes for our straps in the right spot. So I'll need the height to be about right. We fold this down just a little bit more. I don't want to confuse you, but I want to do it slow. So if you're trying to do this on your own basket, you'll be able to see how this went. All right, that looks a little bit more like 5 inches. 5 inches all the way. Nice fold here. And if this is going to fold over the edge of my basket, that's what I'm trying to explain here. Let's put this back in here so you can see. There we go. So it's going to fold over like this. Now you got it? Okay, so what's the area that I have to make the opening? It looks like I'm down about, from that fold, about 3 to 4 inches. It totally depends on your basket, but that's where I'll need to have this opening for this handle. All right, so let's go back to the iron and give this a good pressing. And be sure to ask your questions. I'll make sure I come back and take them. Do you have to have a big fold like this at the top? Absolutely not. You don't. I just prefer that. All right, so give this a good press so you have a good crease to go by. So I'm pressing down towards the wrong side, 5 inches, because I gave myself an extra 10, remember? While I'm here, I'm just going to fold this back. Make sure this is going the right way. Yeah. Fold this under one more, like a 1/2 inch to 1 inch. This is going to be my finished edge for the back side. This is the inside of your basket, which all that's finished. And then when this flips over the back side, if this is flipped under and I top stitch that, you won't be able to see that at all. Now, if you don't care and you're just going to top stitch this and this is inside your basket and this folds over, that's fine too. That totally doesn't matter. It just depends how nicely you want this side finished. So I'm going to fold mine under. So if I take this whole thing out, you can see my crease at 5 inches. Now let's fold this back again towards the wrong side of the fabric. Another 1/2 inch to 1 inch, whichever one you want. It doesn't matter. Giving it a little pressing. Use your clapper to hold that in place. Then let's check the other side. Did I do a good job? Ah, pretty good. Looks the same. I'll give it another pressing over here. Now, if you wanted this to be exact, go through and mark it with your measuring tape. All right, so that's going to fold over. Now, let's just double check the math on the basket. I'll walk over there with you so you can kind of see the whole picture again before I give you this idea about giving ourselves a little opening for our handles. So I'm laughing. Susan, if you're on here, next time when I can't find the fabric I'm trying to send you to knit me some sleeves, you'll know to go into one of my baskets. How many baskets do I need? Oh, that's a whole different topic. All right, so here's the bottom of my basket. This will be sewn into the circle. This is my top half. So you can see this part will be folded towards the back. Let's see. So about right here on the edge of your basket is where you want to mark where you're going to put your handle. So let's see how far down that is. Measuring tape. I'm using a bright yellow one today. It's about, well, pretty good. About 4.5 inches. 4.5 inches since I folded that over. That's pretty good. So 4.5 inches from the top is where we want those to go. All right, so here's our back. That's where I'm going to put my seam. If I quarter that, let me give myself just a finger press right here, and I have a back seam. Go ahead and open this up. So one of my handles is going to go here on this end and one over here. And we're going down 4 inches. So I have this folded right now. That's not going to be folded. I'm just giving myself a marking of where to put that handle. You know what? I think I'll just finger press it. Okay, open this up. And what did we say? 5 inches we're going to leave it? So it's 4 inches down. This is a lot of math to remember. I hope you had your coffee. 1, 2, 3, 4 inches down. Barely see that. And 4 inches down on this side. I'm just using Taylor's chalk, in case you're wondering. Okay, and then we also are going to need it 5 inches wide. So let's go back to the ironing board. You'll see this a little bit better, and I'll show you the fabric I'm going to use to fill in that hole. Okay, I need a dozen or so baskets. I think you're right. If you saw my whole studio right now, you would be thinking I needed even more than that. I'm going to press this. So these are my 2 corners where I'm going to put that mark. And you know what? Let me just grab a different colored chalk so you can see what I'm doing. So keep yourself company for 1 second. I actually do know where my chalk is. This will be much better. Okie doke. Now you'll see this. There we go. There's my chalk mark. There's my chalk mark. Is that better? So let's just open one of these. We're going to do one at a time. This crease mark is the center of my handle. And grab your quilter's ruler or some form of a ruler. And this one is 6 inches. I'm only going to do mine 5.5. So let me just draw a straight line here. That's 2.5 inches, brings me to here, and 2.5 inches from the center brings me to here. Now, if you popped in late and you're like, oh my gosh, I have to rewind this to watch this, don't worry. I might have to rewind it too, but you can go back on Brother. There's always a replay. Okay, so this is how wide I want the opening for my handle. Now, I can't just cut a piece of fabric there. That would not look good. I want this to look really professional. Now, imagine if that's my handle, and this is going to cover it up, I'm going to need a hole here too. Does that make sense? Because when this folds over, I want this all to look the same. So on here, you can kind of just barely see that marking through here. There's my center, and there's my 5.5 inches. So what do you want to do? Let's just draw a box. How much room do we need for the handle? Well, why don't you give yourself plenty? I'm going to give myself 1/2 inch on either side. Is that plenty? So now this was the center marking, just so you can keep straight here. I've got this folded over, so I'm on 2 layers right now. And here's my box. If I were to just cut that open, that would fit my handle just perfectly. But I don't want to do that. I want it to look really nice. So from the right side of the fabric, of course, I thought for sure I'd be able to see that through the right side. Nope. Let me mark it one more time. I think you'll have this marking down pat. And I can just barely see it. There you go. There's the handle. And again, let's mark this with 1/2 inch on either side. So these are both of these markings are on the right side of the fabric. One's on the fold at the top and one's down here. Both of these are down about 3 inches from the top, maybe 3 1/4, something like that. All right, and let me make sure that my marking is even on both sides. It is. So my other line is down here. All right, does that make sense? There's one box. Here's the other box. Let me turn this with the right side out so you can see the whole thing. There you go. Here's the fold at the top that's going to fold over. This is the inside of the basket, but it's the right side of the fabric. So you've got 2 boxes. And both of them are down, let me measure one more time, 3 inches and 3 inches. Does that make sense? Okay, so flip the fabric over, and you're going to do the same thing on this side. So let's double check where the opposite end is. Right here. Give your fabric just a little bit of a pressing. That's an easy way to see your center crease. So this is for your other handle. There we go. Okay. So let's go up 3 inches. I'm using this fold line as a guide right here. 3 inches, there's the center. And let's go, well, can you see better if I go like that? Maybe. This is 3 inches on this side of the fold. And then this is 3 inches on this side of the fold. Okay. And this is my center. And why don't we just make this a little bit easier? This time I'm going to draw myself a line on either side. So this is going to be the opening. Let's go 1/2 inch on each side of that line. Now, by the way, those of you, and I really thought about this, and I might do it on my next one. Those of you that have on the Luminaire, and I don't know if it's on any other machine except the Luminaire, but they have really, really big buttonholes. This would be a really good opportunity to use them. All right, again, 2.5 inches. So now I'm going to mark 2.5 inches from this center mark on each side. So 2.5 inches. 2.5 inches. mark 2.5 inches on this side. And all this chalk will just rub off when I'm finished. This is just clay chalk that brushes off. And 2.5 inches. All right, so this time that was a little bit more streamlined. Again, here's for our handle. Here's for when this folds over, because I'm going to need a handle for both sides of this. You don't have to, but I want this to look really nice when I'm done. So now what? How about, do any of you like to sew bound buttonholes? Well, I've got a really good idea for you. This is the right side of the fabric. We're going to sew a piece of fabric around each end, flip it to the wrong side and press it. You're going to see how easy this is. So the first thing you need is a piece of fabric, and I've already pressed this a little bit because I didn't want you to have to wait, but I've got fusible interfacing on the back. This is just garment fusible interfacing. Just press. Don't forget, when you add interfacing to fabric, you don't go like this. You lift and hold. All right. So let's see how big of a spot we need here. I can just barely see my chalk marks through there. So I'm just going to cut a piece that's just big enough. You want this upper piece to be at least 1 inch on the outside of those markings. So you can see my markings, and you can just barely see them through here. All right, so that will fit fine on there. And since all of mine are the same, go ahead and cut 2 more pieces that width. And let's see, do we have enough room here? Yay! That usually doesn't happen. And you can cut it bigger too if you want. The minimum is 1 inch around. All right, 4 pieces of fabric, all have interfacing. Let's start with the first one. Unfold your pressed edges. So this is the right side of the fabric. You can see my seam is on the inside, the first one we sewed. Take a piece of this fabric, right sides together, so the interfacing is facing up. And just center this right on your markings. So I'm just centering that, just to make sure I've got plenty of room. There we go. And you can just barely see. I'll draw it just so you can see when I sew, but if you were doing this on your own, you could just barely see those markings in. Just give yourself a few pins to hold that in place. And I'll just give myself a little guide here just so you can see this. Now my sketching right here is not straight, but I can see the lines underneath that are straight. Make sense? All right, there's one. And right below it, we've got another spot. So again, take your fabric, right side's facing down. Again, I can just barely see that through there. Give yourself a couple pins to hold that in place. It just makes it so much faster and easier. And while you're at it, you might as well just do the other side. Again, where you had pressed, lift that up because you don't want to have like too many layers going through there. Take your fabric, right sides facing down. Now this one I'm not going to chalk in. I can see it. So, okay, maybe you can't. Here we go. How's that? I'm just transferring the markings from underneath. And then here is another one. Take your fabric, right sides together. So interfacing, facing up, and this is the right side of the fabric. I think you got it. That is not my stomach. That is my iron. Every time that goes off, I'll go back and read the comments. Someone's like, are you hungry? No. I might need some more water. Okay, there's my markings. You're going to go to the sewing machine. You're going to choose a stitch length of 2.5, and you're going to stitch right around those markings that you have. So whichever side you can see the markings better on, go ahead and sew that side. Let's go to the sewing machine. And on the way, I'll see if you have any questions for me. All right, do you have any questions at all? Better late than never, Helen. Great to see you. I am making bound buttonholes. Well, they're really not bound buttonholes, but they look like bound buttonholes. I love bound buttonholes. Yay. All right, so now what we have here is my whole piece of fabric, and I have my little boxes on there. So we need to sew those, and we're almost getting there. All right, let's go back to the sewing machine. Hey, Marianne, I just saw your comment. Sorry. No, see how big this is? This is why I was thinking an embroidered buttonhole. A manual one wouldn't be big enough to fit those handles through, unless you have really tiny handles. Yeah, Arnell, go check out your Luminaire. I know you have that. And it has huge buttonholes. Huge. Might have to do a lesson on that. Okay, back to the machine. So for this part, you could have any machine. Oh, thanks, Shirley. I agree. And it won't scratch your fabric. That's the best part. Okay. Now, because my machine is flush, I'll have to just maneuver the bottom of my fabric out of the way. If you have your machine up, you could easily slide this around the bottom of that machine. Do you have the directional sewing? Oh, that could be fun. Okay. Let's see, do I have my end foot here? I knew somebody would have a good idea like that. Let me find my end foot. Here it is. Okay, the new and improved end foot that has the nice plastic edges. I love that. I'll show you on the screen what I'm going to pick. Directional sewing. Why not? That will make this fast and easy. All right, close your eyes. I'm bringing you to the machine. Blinky will probably take an effect for a second. All right, of course. On here, click on sewing. Now, a lot of you have this on your machine. This isn't just a Luminaire thing. Scroll across the top. You see this one. This one's called 5 on the Luminaire. But check your, like the Dream machine. I don't even know if the Quattro had this, but I know the Dream did. Click on 5. The Still Air has this. Here's the directional sewing. So we'll start by sewing forward. And then as soon as we do that, I'm just going to show you what I'm going to click. I'll click to the left. Maybe. My finger's frozen. And then we're going to stitch to the back. Did my machine just freeze on me? Okay, let me move you back over. And I'll bring you down here. I'll make you not quite so bright so you can see what's going on. All right. Oh no, it was just my finger. All right, so stitch. Get the pins out of the way. I'm going to back stitch because I want to make sure that that doesn't go. It won't back stitch, it just does a stay stitch. Stitch all the way to the end of my scribbles. All right, now let's go to the left. This is a very easy way to get these done. That looks pretty good. And let's go to the back. Now I want to know in the comments, look on your machine. Do you even have this and you didn't know it? Okay, that looks good. And now let's go back to the right. And forward, just to make sure I covered that up all the way, because I didn't do a back stitch right away. Okay, how easy was that? Okay, well, we got 3 more to do. In the meantime, go check out your machine. Do you have this feature? Because this makes it very easy. If you don't, then you'll just sew in a box. It's not a big deal. All right, let's go forward. Okay, let's go to the left. And back. Did I go over far enough? Now, if you make this a little bit bigger, it's not the end of the world. I'm trying to lean over the camera, so excuse me if mine's a little crooked. To the right. And forward. All right, we got 2 of ours done. Not all bad. Let's go ahead and do the other 2, because it's really the only way you're going to check the fit of the basket. After this, we only have a couple steps left, and one of them is just attaching that circle at the bottom. All right, make sure the bottom is out of the way. Okay, so just out of curiosity, I can see you all commenting. I know, I'm reading your comments as I'm stitching. No wonder my stitches are crooked. What are your New Year's resolutions? Does any of it have to do with sewing or organization? Mine is a continuation of last year, where I'm building a better wardrobe, since our lifestyles have changed so much and fabrics have gotten better and better, all those things. So mine definitely evolves around sewing. All right, and to the side. All right, and the last one. Get those pins out of the way. All right, and we'll stitch to the left. If you missed, I did a tutorial, oh gosh, a couple years ago, where I did this stitching, and I slid a whole pair of jeans onto my machine and then stitched sideways all the way down, kind of like the way my hands are going. And I was able to stitch trim all the way along the edge of jeans in like 15 minutes. I didn't have to take apart any legs, nothing like that. And forward. Do you like the bright red thread? You would use a color that matches, of course, but I wanted to make sure you could see it. All right, let's go to the ironing board and I'll show you how to make this look into beautiful little pockets. Charlene, to finish your UFOs, that's always mine. That's always mine. Okay, so what do we have here? Got all these little pieces. Now you're going to gingerly cut. I'll draw one out for you and then I'll cut. You're going to cut, just like a bound buttonhole, right down the center and then right to each corner. See that? Don't cut through your thread. So make sure you're only using one layer here. Cut through the center and cut to each corner, but not through your thread. Alrighty, flip this. So this is the right side of the fabric. Flip this piece of fabric to the wrong side of the fabric. And I'll turn this inside out to make it easier for you to see. So now we're on the wrong side of the fabric. Pull this little thing through, just like a little pocket. Kind of got to give it a little tug there. And then you're going to press it right along that, you're literally pressing right along your stitch line. Bring it a little closer. I like to give it a little press. Just do one side. That looks good. Now slide it down. Let's finish this off. All right. So you can just barely see my stitch line, my red stitching. This is the wrong side of the fabric. Now you have a choice. You can, on the right side, give a little top stitching there to hold this into place. It's totally your choice. I'm not going to yet because I have another one to do here. So let's cut this one up. Again, you're doing the same thing to all 4 of these. Just make sure you're only cutting through your little boxes and don't accidentally cut through the back side of your entire basket lining. All right, and all right, so we're already on the wrong side of the fabric. It doesn't matter which side you cut it on. Flip this through. And you got to give it a little tug. That's why you're snipping right to each corner. You have to snip right to the thread, but definitely make sure you don't go through it or else you end up with a little hole there. All right, look at how nice that is. So now when I close this, check this out. I've got 2 holes, perfect to get my handle through. So now I will top stitch those together. So that's one side. Now we got to go to the other side. There's always another side, isn't there? Well, not always, but when you have 2 handles, you do. All right, so I'm just going to go quickly trim these just so you can get the full effect of what this is going to look like on the basket. Now, after you get the hang of this, if you have 3 or 4 baskets, just turn it into kind of like a production line. Get them all done. Do all the pockets. Then do all the circles at the bottom. Then do all your top stitching. All right, since I'm right-handed, it's easier for me to do that this way and then flip her around. Now, if you do this and you don't snip close enough to your stitching, you'll end up with a little buckle there. So it's kind of like a bittersweet. If you go through it, you end up with a hole. If you don't go right to it, you end up with a buckle. Although now I'm thinking that I'm going to have one for every season because I like that idea. Maybe just for one of them. For the one in my kitchen area with I put my extra coffees in a basket, and maybe that one could be just an easy holiday one. The rest They're all going to just be just plain old plain. All right, that one's good. And here. Any questions so far? You getting the hang of this? It's kind of like watching, kind of like Groundhog Day here. One pocket, the next pocket. Okay. All right, let me just bring you out just a little bit. So now that I have this is the wrong side. Fold this over. This is where we had pressed earlier, remember? So this is that 5-inch fold at the top. Go ahead and fold that over. Now this part here that I folded under an extra inch, this was the part that if you really didn't care what that, no, you're not going to see that part. So you can either tuck it under and top stitch, you could run it through the serger. That's why I left that as an option. So now I need to just take these two pieces together, give yourself a couple pins. I usually like to do my top stitching from the right side, so. Do you have to top stitch this? No, but you really want these to stay together. This is why it was important that they were all the same size, too. Now, on bound buttonholes, this back part, I could have just cut the fabric and tucked it under. But because this is a handle and it's going to be used a lot, that's why I did two sides that had that facing. Does that make sense? All right, and we've got this side. So let's flip this to the right side again. Lots of flipping going on. There you go. So I'll just stitch that all the way around. And then I'll do the same thing for this one. I'm just going to pin it for now. And we'll slide it on the basket and to double check our look. And let's just pin together our circle at the bottom. And we're pretty much finished. All right, just make sure you don't pin yourself on those. All right, so we've got 2 handles. All right, let's go back to the table. All right, Elizabeth, I see a question from you. If you top stitch them together, will you be able to take it off the basket to wash? Oh yeah, so this is what I have here. Let me just give you like kind of a view from afar, because I know staring at the ironing board. So basically I've got my circle now, and I've got these 2 sections here for the handle, and then this will flip over the back side of the handle. So the outside will look good. Let me go show you. I think it's easier to see on the basket. Oh, thanks. I can't wait. So if you guys do these, make sure you tag me and tag Brother Sews too, because they love to see what you're working on. But this is a great organizing, easy to sew. So if you have anybody in that you have friends with that are like, I don't know how to sew, this is really easy. Well, hopefully I made it look easy. All right, back to the table. Okay, so here's our circle. Now I have not sewn the bottom circle on yet. I just thought it'd be easier to sew all these little sections first. So, all right, turn this. So this is the right side of my fabric. This is the wrong side, which will be inside. You won't be able to see it. Slide this in the basket. Here's one handle. See? I know, it's all coming together. So you might have been wondering, what in the heck is she doing? Oh my gosh, this is even cuter than I thought. So I've got both my handles. I've got a nice sturdy area here. So I will top stitch around those just like I showed you, but I have pins there right now. And our basket's almost finished. How easy is that? All right? And then on the outside, you can see I wanted this to fold over the edge just a little bit in case my fabric accidentally touched here. I don't want any snags. So this is definitely for a fabric type of bin or a laundry bin. But now my handles are good. Now, if you were really worried about your fabric hitting here, you could put little ties, you could put a snap. I'm just going to leave it. So the last thing we have to do is to pin our circle on the bottom. So again, at your sewing machine, you're going to stitch these together. Make sense? And as you saw, this part's never going to show. I'll probably run it to the serger, but when this is folded over the back side, this is your basket. You'll never see that. That's why I did that big flip over. All right, now here's the bottom. We've already quartered it. You can see my snips here, and there's my seam. And let's match it up with, so this is the wrong side. This looks the same on both sides. It really doesn't matter. But if it did have a right side, you'd have right sides to right sides, like this. I'll just put a few pins in here. If for any reason you cut you cut one a little different than the other, this is at the bottom inside your basket, so don't freak out. If you have to gather one a little bit, nobody's going to see it. That's why this is such a great beginner's project. Now, if you did that on your sleeves, I might have to come and help you out. But if it's at the bottom of your basket, who cares? So right now, this fits great. But let me just explain what I was talking about. Let's just say that you start to pin this, and all of a sudden, you've got more room in one of your baskets than the other. Well, just kind of maybe give yourself a dart or a little pleat or gather it a little bit, because nobody's going to see it. Not that I'm not a perfectionist, because I am. But again, this is at the bottom of your basket, so don't stress yourself out on January 2 of 2023. Or the 3rd, whatever day it is. These vacations really get, I never know what day it is after Christmas and New Year's, especially when it falls on a Saturday and Sundays. I'm with you, Valerie. LOL on this one. Thanks, Peg. I was thinking it was the 3rd. Well, I'll tell you something really funny. I was looking at the calendar for 2024 just to mark something down for next year. Because actually yesterday was my dad's birthday, and since he passed away, I wanted to remember him next year. So I put it in the calendar, and I forgot that I was in 2024. So that was another thing this morning when I woke up. I looked at the calendar, and I was like, wait a minute, today is not Wednesday. Is today Wednesday? So just so you know, next year, January 3rd will be on a Wednesday. I've got that all figured out for you. All right, it's all pinned. It looks great, right? Actually, mine matched just fine. That was a miracle. See, some things do go right. All right. Okie doke. So now I'm just going to switch back to my regular foot. And I'm just going to line the edge of my foot here with the edge of the fabric. And if I have my needle in the left position, that's just about a 1/2 inch seam allowance, give or take. I mean, my fabric isn't totally straight, so. I'm very excited about this. And I bought, it actually was a gift. And then I bought 3 baskets. And then I have a few baskets at home that I was going to throw away because they're kind of dusty. I think what I'll do is clean them off and add these some fabric inside it, sure, it just makes it look so cute. Do you know how much money you'd spend on having a fabric-filled basket? And even if I just save it for different holidays, that'd work too. But I can think of a lot of things that would look nice in a basket instead of clutter. For example, I don't know, napkins. Even if it's inside one of my cabinets, it would just be, well, definitely coffee supplies. Coffee and tea are my biggest, messiest sections of my office, I think. So little tea bags to go in one. Although I'm very sad, I lost my little squirrel things that went on the side of my cups. I'm not sure if they accidentally got thrown away or got eaten by the dishwasher, but I'm missing my little squirrels that went on the side of my cup that I could put my tea bags in. Now, I haven't figured out a way how to make one of those, but I'll work on it. Okay, there we go. And we're almost around the whole circle. All right, so there's my whole circle. It looks nice, right? So while I'm here, let's go ahead and stitch one. Well, we might as well just stitch these so you know what they look like. No sense in make you wonder. All right, so I've got my presser foot on the edge of this. This is both pieces of fabric. I'm going to change my stitch length to 3.5, just a little bit longer to go through all that fabric, plus it'll look nice. Now, again, I'm using red, but you would use a color that matches what you're working on. But also, I want you to consider some decorative stitches here would look awesome. I know there's always something inside your brother machine that would make this even better. Stitching on the edge. So again, my foot is right on the edge of this opening and my needle's in the far left position. Oh, I just thought of something. What about a basket which I have a couple of baskets here, but they're not pretty like these, for my rotary cutters and my scissors? That would look good. And then what about tailor's chalk, pressing tools? Oh, goodness. I don't know if I'll have time to make that many basket covers, but at least I'm giving you some more ideas. Fashion Sewing Club. I always pull out my basket to show you how to design patterns. I think I might have to have a prettier basket. Maybe it'll be one that says proud member of the Wolf Pack, like you all have given me, which is awesome. All right. That looks pretty cool. Okay, now let's go to the other side. And again, I'm stitching kind of over the camera, so if this doesn't look perfectly straight, again, it's just for a basket, so I'm really not too concerned. And I'm still going to use this with the red thread. I don't care. This will be my famous brother live show basket case. I am a basket case. Basket case. That's what you could say. Somebody comes in. What are you doing? I don't know. I'm a basket case. Okay. Almost done. Yeah, I was kidding, by the way. Okay. And there we go. How does that look? Just fine. Now this other section here that we had folded over and pressed, I'd pressed it in case you wanted to tuck that under and do some top stitching. I think, you know what? I'm not going to see it. I'm going to leave it. So let's go to the basket and see our grand finale. Oh, hey, Evelyn. Why do you have to change feet to do the directional sewing? Well, just because the machine says to. The machine says to use an end. It's a little bit wider and stable. So if you're sewing sideways, so that's why. The machine tells you right on the left side what foot to use with what stitch. All right, let's see I've got my finale. Let's see what we got. Hey, Delia. Happy New Year. I see you just rolled in. And all of you that just rolled in, you can go back and watch this from the beginning if you want to. All right, so this is the wrong side. You can see if you want to run it through the serger, which I probably will do that. So when this goes through the wash, I don't have a bunch of extra fabric laying around. You've got one seam and you have 2 handles. Slide it in your basket. So this is the right side that's on the inside. Fold this over the edge. Slide your handle. Oh, wowzer. This is going to be fantastic. Plenty of room on the inside. Room for my handles. And again, I could always put some ribbon here or a snap if I want to close that, but this is going to be just fine. What do you think, guys? The outside's covered, so if I'm throwing my fabric in like I usually am, it won't catch on the outside edge. If it's for a laundry basket, you won't snag your beautiful garments, especially if you sewed them. So now I think all I have to do is do this for 2 more baskets. Don't worry. We're not doing that live today. I know. Hey, that sounds good, Valerie. Thanks, Charlene. So what do you think? Pretty easy, right? Oh, you got the Dream too. That's a great machine. And it does that sideways stitching I just showed you. Thanks, guys. Morning, Angie. So I think this is fantastic. Hey, Alice, great to see you. A very fun project. Easy to do. Could you still use the directional dolly? You could. I could have used the directional stitching on that when you put those pieces together. But if you were doing decorative stitching or something like that, then you'd want to just stitch. So I showed you both ways, whichever one you feel like doing. I thought that was fun too. Oh, you're welcome. All right, guys. So live shows. We do not have a live show on Thursday this week for Brother, but we will see you again next week. There are some few surprises coming. So I'm sending a newsletter out tomorrow. If you sign up, it's over at angelawolf.com. Brother has a lot going on as well. So here is, if you do this project, make sure you do #BrotherSews. I'd love to see this. So would they, by the way. And I think that's about it. Oh, Bonnie, I think this is going to be perfect for this. Great to see you. Great to see you guys. All right, everyone. I will see you tomorrow on my live channel if you're around. Otherwise, there's no live show on Brother on Thursday. We'll see you next week. And there's a new exciting sewing reality show coming to your TV in February. So you have to stay tuned. You probably caught a little glimpse. I've been chatting about it, but we are recording in the next few weeks for the first batch of episodes, and it's going to be very exciting. So all I can say is Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern, starting in February. Save the date. That's all the tips I can give you right now. All right, Brother. Hey, thanks for letting me take over your page and have a great project. I've got 2 more baskets to go. I would love ideas on what fabric I should choose. Let's see, what's our next season? Oh, I love Valentine's. Maybe I should do a bunch of hearts. Or let's make it more general, like spring. I don't know. We'll figure that one out. All right, everyone. Nice to see you. Have a great day. And don't forget to visit your Brother dealer. They've got great deals going on. I'm going to bring up the website right here. Check out what they've got. All right, everyone. Have a great day. Talk to you soon.